Hi, Livin Guardians, Unseen Inquisitor here, and we have finally gotten a date for the Legend Raid coming in Season 22, which is September 1st, which is pretty cool, but has nothing to do with the actual content of this video, but that whole announcement they made got me thinking about raids again. Now, this is not going to be thinking about what the Legend Raid might be, since we still don't know just yet. I did a video on that already, feel free to check it out. But what this is instead thinking about raids from Destiny 1 and Destiny 2, and specifically thinking about how the philosophy for approaching them in terms of story and driving the storyline forward has changed from Destiny 1 and Destiny 2. So, with that said, pull up a chair, hang out, and share your thoughts in the comment section down below to be part of the conversation if you think this is interesting for you. What am I talking about? Well, raiding is a evolving thing, right? You look at raids from Destiny 1 and raids to Destiny 2, and they are different. You look at raids within Destiny 1 itself and raids within Destiny 2 just itself, and you see an evolution throughout the time. From the beginning raids, when Destiny 1 first came out, or when Destiny 2 first came out, to where we're at now with raiding, where we went to in Destiny 1 and so forth, and they're an evolving thing. But in that evolution, we have two different mindsets when it comes to storyline. And I think what we have in Destiny 2 is partially a product of players' feedback from Destiny 1, or during Destiny 1's time. What am I getting at? Well, the story of the raids in Destiny 1 are the capstone culmination of whatever campaign they're a part of. And in Destiny 2, they are independent of the campaign story. They may have ties to it, they may have some threads that link them together, but they are not directly driven off of that story insofar as being part of that campaign. They are their own story content that drives the storyline forward, but they are not part of the actual campaign itself. I'll do an example from Destiny 1, probably the easy example to see, which is the Taken King expansion. In this Taken War, in that campaign, we are fighting against orcs. We establish a beachhead on the Dreadnought after going to that Cabal base, and everything we do is to gain access to orcs to defeat them. We defeat him, but we don't get to kill him. He retreats, right? And King's Fall, the raid, is about pursuing orcs into his throne world and killing him there, because you kill a hive god in the throne world and you basically kill them. Anyways, the point is that when you do just a campaign, you end with defeating orcs and forcing him to flee. But you don't get the full ending of the campaign until you go to the raid. The raid is, like I said, that capstone, that culmination of the campaign. Rise of Iron does something similarly. Even House of Wolves, which didn't have a raid, but introduced Prison of Elders and then had the endgame raid version, basically, which was Skolas, did something very similar there. This gives you a pretty epic conclusion to the story being told at that time, and does help drive the story forward. It gives you a bit more depth into that, and you get a definitive end, knowing, okay, we're going to springboard from here. And typically what would happen would be some form of, at least in the Taken King expansion, you get some form of post-campaign and post-raid kind of missions. They had some stuff time-gated that came out after the debut of the raid. Just a couple of epilogue style missions things, just to kind of set you up as kind of cleaning up the Taken War a bit. Anyways, this, while cool, had some of the player base leave feedback not really enjoying this, and I understand why. Some people roll their eyes at this, but I totally get it. Not everybody's able to raid, whether by choice or just unable to, period. But the players want to experience the story and be able to say, I beat that campaign, I did this, I saw the conclusion of this with my character on my account, whatever. And to go 99% of the way and then have that big 1% be the raid that they're just unable to pursue for whatever reason feels bad. And I get it. So I'm not hating on it. But that's been kind of consistent feedback during Destiny 1. And it seems like with Destiny 2, Bungie took that to heart. The raids are not necessarily true, full continuation of a campaign. The only two that might be considered somewhat like that are the two that came out basically during season times, Scourge of the Past and Crown of Sorrow. But the ones that came out with the big expansions or the big launch of the game are not capstoning, if you will, the campaign. The campaign can lead to them or there can be threads linking them. But instead in Destiny 2, the raid is kind of telling a story, not necessarily completely out of left field, but telling a story to push the storyline forward, right? To help continue the story of Destiny past where the campaign leaves off, more or less. And it's kind of rounding it out more, the story of that time, to push things forward. And this allows players who do not have the ability to raid for whatever reason, personal or just unable to still be able to play the campaign, experience and get a sense of closure and completion of a campaign, which does make a lot of sense. A good example is Forsaken. This is a good example because we can see, and not other raids do this, but and expansions do this, like Beyond Light with Deepstone Crypt and everything else. But Forsaken, the campaign is vengeance for Cade 6, right? Which ultimately we achieve by killing the Scorn Barons, including the Fanatic twice, who knows if he's back or not, and then killing Aldrin Sov in the Dreaming City. We got access to the Dreaming City, right, to do this. And once you do that, the Forsaken campaign is concluded. The whole point of that campaign, that vengeance, is concluded. But we're in the Dreaming City now, and the Dreaming City has problems. Turns out Ribbon's taken, right? So Last Wish is not so much a direct continuation of the Forsaken campaign because the Forsaken campaign is concluded, but Last Wish is just tied by some threads, if you will, because we got here because of the campaign, but now we have this new threat, basically, in the form of that raid. So, what you have is the ability to completely finish the campaign and then have the raid there as a separate entity, but yet still kind of helping the story move forward. Lightfall's done it, Witch Queen's done it, Beyond Light's done it, Shadowkeep did it. Red War even has it this way. Red War might seem the most like Vault of Glass in terms of having Leviathan be most like Vault of Glass in a certain sense, because Vault of Glass was year one's Destiny 1 raid, and the whole launch of Destiny 1 in that story of the vanilla launch, in terms of the kind of problems with story and being confused and everything, is kind of well known if you do a little bit of digging, so I'm not going to go into that here. Leviathan felt similarly because it seemed out of left field. But if you read the stuff that came in the collector's edition, you could get it because it was posted online, which is how I read it. It mentions stuff about Leviathan and whatnot. And if you finished the Red War campaign and did the adventures on Nessus that unlocked post Red War campaign, you actually were basically prepping for the raid. In fact, once you finish all that stuff, you basically had the starting quests steps ready to go for the Legend of Acrius raid weapon, which was a raid weapon quest. So that's kind of neat. In any case, if you didn't do either of those, then it might seem out of left field, but even that is kind of tied with Gaul and everything else, and Callus and his exile, and things of that nature. What makes Leviathan pretty unique and I think was a great thing that they did, I think a little underappreciated, was that Leviathan and Callus is a raid concept, right? Or a raid entity that we first encounter in a certain setting that had sequels, basically. The raid lairs, which are not full-blown raids, took place on different areas of the Leviathan, as well as Crown of Sorrow, right? Leviathan played host to 2 full raids, 2 raid lairs, a seasonal activity, seasonal missions, and a patrol zone aspect throughout the lifespan of Destiny 2. Kind of unseen in raid location concepts before. And that really helped tell the story of Callus and make Callus have a kind of like a nemesis saga with our Guardians. And it worked really well. But that story, which made its way into the campaign proper, more in your face, you could pick up on by doing some seasonal activity stuff, whatever, at the time. But that story is not tied directly to a campaign until you get to Lightfall. And there, it's just, even if you've never done anything with Leviathan before, you just get a sense that Callus is a bad dude, right? Leading the Shadow Legion, and you gotta stop him. So it still works out. In any case, is either philosophy or approach to the story better than the other? I don't necessarily think so, but big question I wonder is what's going to happen with Final Shape, right? Because firstly, Legend Raids, right, are point in time things. So if you're thinking, well, what about the Legend Raids? Where do they fall? They don't fall anywhere new than where they first came out. They are just point in time fan service things to be here for us to experience, which is fantastic. But they don't do anything for the current storyline model being pushed forward. But Final Shape's going to come out in the 10th year anniversary of Destiny as a franchise. That's a big deal. This is going to be the resolution, if you will, or the conclusion at the very least to a certain respect of the Dark and Light saga, or the Light vs. Dark saga, right? Doesn't mean necessarily we're going to be killing the Witness. Doesn't mean that the Traveler is going to explode or that the Traveler is going to wake up again. I don't think the Traveler is dead, but I think it's just inert. But it doesn't mean we're going to see any type of like transformation or anything like that or whatever. You can have a conclusion or a resolution of this saga without killing off the Witness necessarily. And the Witness is so strong, I don't even know if we're really going to fight him. We might do things to kind of deal with him without having to fight him, if that makes any sense. But whatever the case might be for where Final Shape goes, the question is the raid. Every expansion has a raid. And with that, we have to wonder, how is it going to be handled? Are they going to go back and kind of do a Destiny 1 thing and make the raid be the big final conclusion of the campaign to kind of cap it off in a suitably epic way? Because that's what they did in Destiny 1. It made the particular threat or event or whatever the case is feel suitably epic in its scope, for the conclusion required a 6-person raid team where we got to go and experience things unique that only happens in raids. Kind of appropriate, especially if we are going to actually attack the Witness at all. It would feel really off for it to be just a campaign mission. Likewise, is it going to be used to set up post-Final Shape stuff, right, and kind of continue the story forward as the raids kind of have done thus far in their own ways? I don't know, but it's food to think about, So, just a thought. In any case, that's what I got for you on this one. Those are the differences in the kind of raid story design philosophy, if you really think about it, from Destiny 1 to Destiny 2. This whole thought was brought about because we got the release date of the Legend Raid to come, whatever it might be. In any case, I think the stories told in either scenario, Destiny 1 or Destiny 2 raids, are told well for what they are in terms of raids. And I look forward to seeing what we learn about what's to come in Final Shape in the 10th year of Destiny. So, like I said, Share your thoughts in the comment section down below. Be part of the conversation. Consider subscribing if you want to be part of future conversations like this more easily. It's quick and easy to do, and it helps you out as well as myself. And thanks so much for sticking along this long. If you've made it this far into the video, to the very end, if you're going to post a comment, post rating in addition, so I know you made it to the very end. And until next time, Guardians, stay frosty.